Maybe it's because transiting Mars is squaring my natal Mars right now, but I'm feeling a little spicy and I want to try to bring some human knowledge and information to our spiritual practices and thinking around the idea about it happening. I'm feeling very frustrated because part of what I hope and intend to do is to actually bring some sort of information and guidance that will help prepare people and help people find their own grounding, their own steady structure underneath them to keep them from losing it in really insane times, okay? Please know that for many, many, many years, well before 2016 ever occurred, I have always felt the absolute deepest ick around that person. And before 2016 ever happened, I also personally knew people who had been on the scene in New York City and had really disgusting stories about that person that fit the ick that I have always felt. Okay, so like, just, I don't want this person. I think it is absolutely the wrong person in the long run and always have felt that way. However, we have to live in the actual reality that even when it happens, that will not necessarily be the end of what feels incredibly upside down, incredibly topsy-turvy, and the P2025 agenda that quite plainly is being, at least they're making an attempt to have that play out. Now, the good news is that 96% of those EOs and other things that, you know, the entire administration has been trying to put into place have been rejected through the courts. And I think we'll continue to see that because laws are laws. Constitution is constitution. When it comes down to it, in most cases, you're going to see the judicial branch, whether it's national, state, local, whatever, primarily following the law and the Constitution as they should, regardless of who is in the administration, what party it is, or anything, okay? There is a line of succession. Imagine how much would have to take place in the most extreme circumstances for that line of succession to not occur, and how quickly it would all have to take place. You would have to have it occur, at least to some level of incapacitation to not be able to hold that office. And then guy number 2 would have to have something happen to take him out of that. And then you'd have the speaker would have to take out of that. And then what is it, the pro tempora or something along those lines? Chuck Grassley would have to. There are numerous people lined up. And for everything to change away from the agenda that is currently trying to be pushed, all of them would have to be moved out of the way and done very quickly. Reasonably speaking, logically speaking, that's not really likely. And so I just want to come here and say that even when it does happen, and an incapacitation does occur, we still have other people lined up, and it's not going to just suddenly get handed over to the other party. It's not going to suddenly get handed over to the other candidate from November. Those things are not, they're not going to happen. I mean, imagine how much would have to happen for anything remotely close to, and the Electoral College, regardless of the legalities around it, made their choice. And that will stand unless so much else took place, legally speaking, to have something. I do feel and sense that at some point things like Rockland, New York are going to be exposed more so in many other areas, and that we are at some point going to see what truly deeply transpired. I do not have any sense of timeline, but I also don't feel like it's going to be really, really, really soon. When you even consider the fact that the Rockland, New York stuff was filed to the courts in December, and at the very end of May was when a judge finally went through it enough and finally said, yes, proceed with discovery. The legal system is not fast in most cases. So even if there are others who have already been working through that process, even if we're going to soon or in the somewhat near future see others who are going to have more legalities, more court hearings, more, and we all also have to be able to say, if all of those things take place, if all kinds of legal proceedings take place and judges see, review, and hear discovery around what happened with voting in November, and it's then presented that nothing nefarious transpired, I don't sense that that's the case. However, we have to be ready, if that did happen, to be above what happened in 2020. And we have to be ready to say it was legally reviewed by the powers that be, and they said nothing nefarious happened. We have to accept that. I need my spiciness today. I need everybody to, number one, be prepared to say that. Number two, be prepared that even when it happens, you have vice president moving into that position. You have a speaker after that. You have other people lined up in the line of succession. That is how things are structured, legally speaking. Those are the processes that we will watch unfold unless something else really massively happens from a legal standpoint that allows that to not be followed. And even with that, it will not be fast. So please understand that while he himself is a giant ick, he is not the only one who is trying to push this agenda and trying to change these constitutional laws. And we will be in for some ups and downs and some rocky times, because it will not all be over when that happens. So I just want you to do what you need to do for yourselves to be prepared for that to be the case. Do your meditations, do your deep breathing, follow my guidance and seek therapy when and if you need it. Hopefully something more than talk therapy, in my view, that only gets you quite so far. Things where you can move the emotion and the energy through and out of your body. Okay? Find your community, find your grounding, find what feels like comfort and home base for you, because this is not going to be over very, very quickly. At least months is how it feels to me. Months and months. 2026, maybe not till 2027 before it actually feels like a breath of fresh air compared to now. Please prepare yourselves. It will change, but it will not be overnight.